So we're about to wrap up the anatomy of this chapter.
You like all that, Smeagol stuff.
Be careful with
Smeagol stuff.
Smeagol stuff.
Yeah.
What's Smeagol stuff?
Aliens.
Aliens.
Smeagol's not an alien.
What if he doesn't
He
look
used to be a hobbit before he was corrupted by the evil of the rings
There you go.
and became a creature called
Oh
Gollum.
my God, there you go. See?
And she
He's
was
not an alien.
Sounds like Mr. Bob when they asked him about the X-ray too.
What is it?
her sister put a threat on him, like an actual hit.
Why don't you take another day off? I'm not ready for all this.
He does sound like Mr.
And
Bob when
in
they
the
asked him
middle
about
of
the
the
X-ray
night,
tube.
he just woke up and decided to do that. He went to the
Okay, guys, so we're going to just wrap up this chapter. I know we already went over liver and biliary anatomy. We're just now going to talk about the functions of liver and biliary and what they actually do. So, liver, big note here, big star. Liver is actually the biggest gland in the body. It's an organ slash gland. A lot of people don't realize it's actually a big gland. The largest found in the body. Don't forget, we have that falciform ligament dividing that liver into two major lobes. And those two minor lobes on the visceral surface are going to be that caudate and quadrate lobe. Once again, caudate at the top, quadrate at the bottom. Left lobe, right lobe, divided by that falciform ligament. Like those falciform aliens. See what I did there? Oh, come on, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. At least I got a fake laugh over here. Okay. Did you have fun stalking my Instagram?
Oh, I didn't find it. What's the name?
What's the name?
John Donahue.
Just
John
look up the
Adams.
school and then it'll be on the
Adams.
list.
Well, you know, sometimes
It's
people
not
don't
Adams.
say real names.
What is it?
It's Adams singular.
It's the Adams family.
I thought it was the Adams.
Uh-oh.
Well played, sir.
He said, don't
Well
talk to me.
played, sir.
I have a quick question. What about when people say that you have a fatty liver? What's that mean?
What if you have a fatty liver?
Yeah,
It
I've heard
contains a
that
lot of
before.
fatty tissue in it from drinking too much and
It is
Uh-oh.
private.
not taking care of yourself.
Oh,
Yeah, stay off the alcohol.
that's not. You acting like they told me.
I will say though, the liver is the only gland slash organ in the body that can regrow itself completely. So if you were to like lose half your liver, you can actually regenerate that entire liver over time.
So I can still have my
The
liver
only
for some money?
regenerative organ inside the body.
I can still have my liver for some money?
So,
Well, you're what?
I can still have my liver?
Yeah.
On the black market, sure, go ahead.
It might take more
so
than
if they
that.
tell you have a fatty liver, can they cut it off and then regrow it to new liver?
You can have it surgically altered, yes, but the reason I can do that is emergent, or you just want to pay a lot of money to do so. That just means you're really unhealthy. So you can reverse that fatty liver by changing
No,
your
I
diet and
without
lifestyle.
liver.
No.
Okay, we're not. Huh?
One.
Oh, there you go.
I had a question.
Yeah.
So this image is different from the last image that we went over.
Yeah, I actually changed that image out because remember how you said it looked like the caudate and quadrate was flipped? It was. They had it mislabeled. So I took that image out and put that one on there. Your book, if it's the same as my slide, was mislabeled.
So it's
So you saying
Yeah,
the
your
book
book's
is wrong?
mislabeled on the
So you saying the book
caudate and
wrong?
quadrate.
So you saying the book is wrong?
I did because I went back and cross-referenced to make sure it wasn't just me.
So is it?
I thought we saw this before.
So is it right?
We have. I
This is
switched
the
the image
correct-
out. Caudate and quadrate are flipped in your book.
Oh.
There should be the other way around.
So the book is
wait.
wrong?
The book is
So
wrong.
I can scratch
Have you
it.
emailed
Let me take a picture of that then.
Have you emailed
Just
me?
leave it on.
Yeah, have you
I mean,
emailed them?
that's a pretty big error.
That's pretty big. And I went and double-checked just to make sure, but they got it wrong.
Did you tell them? Did you email
Perhaps I
them?
Jay is gonna email them to take credit for it.
Okay, guys, moving on.
Go back, hold on.
In the liver, you're still. How many pictures y'all need of this slide? I've been going on for 10 minutes here.
No, until you said that it was the wrong picture.
Yeah.
though.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're very welcome. Glad I missed
Remember,
that.
C is before.
Picture before.
Okay, so two main blood supplies. We are not going to learn this in detail like we do in ultrasound, CT, and MRI, but do know that there are two main blood supplies, that being the hepatic artery and the portal vein found in the liver. Don't need to know all the tiny little parts of it, but just know that the hepatic artery and portal vein are what carry the blood supplies into and out of the liver. Hepatic artery is going to supply the oxygenated blood from the abdominal aorta, right here in the middle. This is veins, by the way. The abdominal aorta will be red. Portal vein, which you see here in the picture, indicated by the blue, carries the blood from the digestive system to be filtered by the liver. By the way, this is where my wife's injury occurred, right
I
here,
see.
inferior vena cava, where they ripped those 2 holes in it.
How do they access it?
They cut her
Immediately?
open. They cut her open.
Oh, so they went. Wow.
Yeah, they cut her all the way down, all the way down.
When they put ports or something, isn't that one of the ones they go? Like,
When what?
they put like ports.
They usually use the aorta for ports. Okay. What's the primary function of the liver? Well, it does more than just this, but the main function is that actual production of the bile, which is then filtered down to the gallbladder. Y'all remember? The common hepatic duct. Filtered to the gallbladder where it's concentrated. Bile collected by the ducts, carried to the bladder gallbladder for storage, and then passes into the duodenum. And I've been talking way too much this week. I'm all tongue tied.
And also, the liver also
Lectured for 4 hours
helps
last
the
night.
You said that
metabolism.
you're at an all-time low.
I'm getting there.
Oh.
Yes,
The liver also helps in metabolism.
it does. Yes, but for the purposes of this chapter, this test, main function we're focused on is that production of bile. That's what I want you to focus on. So we're going to break down the pancreas and the spleen coming up next, if I'm not mistaken. Let's talk about what their functions are. We don't image the spleen or pancreas in X-ray. Go over to ultrasound if you want to see those, or go to CT and MRI if you want to see those. But we have to at least know what their functions are, as they are those accessory organs helping with the digestive process.
Wants to know maybe
Hmm?
the pictures.
No, that's just showing you where they're at. Like I said, you're not going to worry much about labeling liver, I would say gallbladder and hepatic tree, yes, because we X-ray it. But things like your liver, spleen, and pancreas, we don't see them in X-ray, so you don't have to spend too much focus on them. Just know what they do. Okay. So no one tried that romantic line on their spouse or significant other about the romance of the abdomen. You didn't want to cuddle like that pancreas cuddled with the C loop.
Nope.
No, nobody.
You ain't trying to pay no bills.
I brought it up and she just laughed.
Huh?
I brought it up and she just laughed.
Did she remember the joke?
Yes, she
I used
did.
the same joke in her class.
She's like, I know.
Gallbladder, that's that pear-shaped tiny organ. Of course, what does that do? That's going to be what concentrates that bile, like we already talked about. It is going to vary in location by body habitus, as we already talked about. Storage and concentration of bile. When that bile is evacuated, it's activated by a hormone. You do need to know this hormone. We're going to start learning a few hormones here and there. Cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin is the hormone that makes that bile excrete from the gallbladder. Next, the gallbladder consists with that cystic duct. We already talked about that. Goes out the cystic duct, down that common bile duct, dumps into the duodenum via the ampulla of what? Do y'all remember this time?
Vader.
Vader, that's right. The ampulla of Darth Vader, if it helps you. Which we were having so much trouble recalling that last class.
What's the other one? There was another one.
Don't be a hater. It's just
Dr.
Vader.
Morrison, I believe. That's over by the pancreas, though. Whew.
Yeah.
It's been
It
a
ain't
long
liquor.
week. It's like one of those weeks where it felt like a full 40-hour week.
Well,
We
the
hear
week
that every
before
week.
we had
Every
Monday
day
off.
that we're here.
And you know what we get?
Little violin.
I can play the violin when I want to. I don't mind.
Okay.
I'm entitled to a little bit of whining now and then too. I'm a human being as well.
Oh, now you wanna pull that card.
Remember that.
Remember that when I don't show up on the.
All right, talking about the pancreas. That's going to extend from the duodenum to the spleen. It does have a head, neck, body, and tail, but you don't have to worry about labeling those unless you go over to our next door friends over there. Now, it actually counts as an exocrine and an endocrine gland. It's another gland. And your insulin and glucagon are produced in the pancreas inside the islets of Langerhans. Isn't that fancy? Sounds like a vacation destination. The islets of Langerhans. All right, and that's gonna metabolize our glucose. Which my doctor keeps saying my glucose is too high. And y'all keep shoving sugar down my throat with all these parties y'all have.
When you put a gun to your head.
Uh-huh. Can't resist temptation. That's on you.
Yeah, I used to be able to. So these days I feel like I just always crave sugar. Probably 'cause I'm trying not to.
Because you can't have it, that's
Because I can't
why.
have it, that's right.
Glucagon, does that work in like tandem with insulin, or is that?
It does.
Okay.
And if you look here, of course, it's an axial CT. There's your pancreas. I don't have to worry about labeling it until you come to my CT fellowship program next year, which all you're going to do, yes.
So we can.
And then there's the lab.
75 to not get it.
This semester, yes. The ebb and flow of CT between MRI tends to shift. Right now, MRI is a hot spot because so many people are retiring out of it. When it fills back up again, everyone will flock back to CT again. That's how it always goes. We're having fun in CT class though. It's Leah, J. Lou, Sean Varghese, and Anthony Hernandez. So we're having a lot of fun. He changed his mind. Miss Bonilla's in the MRI program as well.
Would you let us know
Anthony's in
if
CT.
the volume's high for CT so we don't waste our money?
Of course. CT, we can take up to 30 for CT though.
Oh, that's a lot.
He's gonna say, give me the money.
He is not.
It's MRI that has a cap.
Getting it into
16.
MRI with the
So
CT.
why do they have a cap though? Like,
Because of a number of machines
oh, okay.
and locations. CT has a lot more widespread locations.
Give me your money.
So
Okay.
a little Langerhans is in the pancreas.
Yes, it is. So when you make your reservations for your summer vacation, check out the islets of Langerhans. I hear it's quite nice this time of year. They're actually getting some rain, which we actually got today.
Like a
Blood sugar's kind of low.
German. Y'all.
Okay, spinal the spleen, guys, not a direct part of the digestive system. It's an accessory organ. It's part of our lymphatic system. It is a ductless organ. And it's going to produce lymphocytes and store and remove dead or dying red blood cells. Just like the morgue for your dead red blood cells.
So the spleen actually does something.
It does actually do something. Like I said, it's the morgue for the blood cells.
My mom got hers from Moon.
You can live without it.
I didn't know that.
Once heard the joke, like, my spleen.
So they can remove your spleen and your gallbladder?
Yes.
And
There's
appendix.
take some hormone
Oh, and
treatments and things like that.
And appendix, right?
Appendix can go.
But I ain't taking that. Yeah, he said when I get discharged, oh, you could just.
You know, like I say, strap for cash, just cut off part of that liver and sell it on the black market. Give you a few G's on that.
What you know about PG?
I know quite a bit.
Oh my god.
I don't think they would want to damage liver.
I wasn't born yesterday.
Or last night.
I was born at night, but not last night.
All right, so review questions here. All right, what is the first division of the digestive system, ladies and gentlemen? Boy, I'll just run it that one. Wow. Which salivary gland is the largest?
The parotid.
The parrot.
Parotid.
Parrot.
Parroted.
Parotid.
Where are you getting carotid?
I said
Oh,
parotid.
there's a carotid. Correct, the parotid, not the parrot.
So big. One's the smallest, right?
Two. Yeah, two.
There's one that
What
should
was
be
the
left
smallest?
and right.
Sublingual is the smallest?
Which?
Sublingual is the smallest?
That was the next question.
Oh.
Yes. Sublingual was the smallest.
No wonder he was in there. He was ignoring your question.
I kind of like y'all in the afternoon. Y'all are really silly in the afternoon. You know, it's kind of delirious. A little less serious. In which body habitus type is the stomach almost horizontal and high in the abdomen? Hypersthenic, correct.
I've been practicing.
What is high?
Well, you know, when the stomach's had a little bit too much marijuana, it gets really high and horizontal.
Marijuana.
That's how you remember. You can somebody with going home.
Who you hanging out
I
with?
told y'all, you
I'm
don't,
the only one that was just like jaw dropped.
I told y'all, you don't know what I'm gonna say in the afternoons. You should see me at nighttime doing the CT class. Good lord.
That's where you got that last line from, huh?
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No comment.
Donahue High.
Okay, most,
Really nowadays.
Can I have that donut?
the most superior portion of the stomach's called the what, guys?
Fundus.
The fundus.
There you
Correct.
go.
The distal esophagus empties its contents into which of the following?
I think it's
Ooh, y'all paused on that one.
Yeah.
That's
I don't think
the
The cardiac
Cardiac
antrum.
Monster,
Very
can
good.
you let me have one?
Hardy.
God. Just one. That's all I ask.
Jay, she said no.
Which opening is at the distal end of the small intestine?
One more time.
Which opening is at the distal end of the small intestine?
Ileocecal
Or the ileocecal valve,
valve,
correct.
yeah.
Orifice just sounds grosser though.
Orifice, it just sounds.
Sounds grosser.
You know, Mr. Norsworthy says questions.
Portions.
That's what that orifice. Go to the orifice.
Portions.
That applies to a lot of things.
Okay, guys, here's a great question on our abdominal regions. This is the 9 regions. I know y'all didn't really focus on this, but I decided to be kind of mean and put this in here anyway. See if you know it. Don't look in your book.
Abdominal region.
Which abdominal region, of which there is 9, does the large intestine originate?
I forgot about the regions. I know the quadrants.
Yeah.
Lower.
Originate?
I'm gonna co-sign with
Originates,
Right.
Okay.
like the first part of the large intestine.
So it's gonna be the right lower,
Lower
so
bottom.
Think about it. So that would be the.
Is it right, Iliac?
Right.
the right iliac.
Now, what you did learn was the quadrants. Which quadrant does that originate in?
Right.
Right lower.
Right
Right
lower,
iliac.
correct.
Oh, yeah, right.
RLQ. Which structure is located between the ascending colon and the transverse colon?
Oh, we know this, the colic
That's
flexure,
the
the
right colic
Y'all do know this, I hope.
Right colic
The
flexure.
left colic, also called the what flexure?
Hepatic flexure.
Very good, very good. Hepatic. And what's the other one called? Left colic?
Splenic.
Splenic. Good. All right, let's start talking about some actual contrast studies now. It's everything to do with anatomy, this chapter. We're going to talk about the actual setup of fluoros now, and then move on to the actual positioning part of this chapter. All right, so it should go without saying, guys, for an upper GI procedure, contrast medium is required. Why? Because it's going to increase or decrease tissue density. Stars of our show being those internal organs of the digestive tract. So we're going to light up things like the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, the large intestine. Hopefully not the bladder and kidneys, otherwise we did something terribly wrong on upper GI. But, of course, that is going to change the density like I just said. That's the main purpose of contrast medium, to highlight regions of interest that we cannot normally see on a regular x-ray. Okay, what is fluoroscopy and what is it for? It, of course, gives us the ability to view and record anatomy in motion, or as I like to say, it's a video recording x-ray, video x-ray. So we primarily use fluoro to evaluate function and form. This guy, he just looks so happy with his job.
Looks like an average doctor.
He look like one of Harris Health employees.
He just looks like he's just, man, he's just so happy with what he's doing. It's just,
He look like.
does anybody have take the opportunity to actually manipulate the fluoro tower at all? Do they ever let y'all touch it?
No.
I've done it before.
Clean it. All that you do is set the table up and.
Have y'all had the very unfortunate interaction with a doctor, especially a resident, and they're asking you what the buttons do for the patient? Don't you hate when they do that? Like, if I was that patient, I'd be like, get me out of here. They don't know what the buttons do. What's he asking the student for?
There's one
They
that I
thought
always ask,
I was the doctor and that he was a student, so I just let that ride.
Why not?
there's
Well,
one
not
that I
my
always ask,
license,
was it
otherwise.
Miss Dahlia?
Yeah, I was.
And she's like,
I hate when they ask me, they're like, which one is the save button? Like in front of
Oh,
the,
like
like
this
right in
one,
front of
dog.
the patient. I'm like,
It's right here.
The one
It's
that's
a yellow one.
saved.
You just gotta press a bunch of different ones. at
which
first,
one's
and
the
then-
last
oh, yeah,
image
it's-
hold?
The one that says home.
A lot of them are
Okay,
big.
of course, what are we going to use most commonly in upper GIs and most of our internal digestive tract fluoro exams? Good old-fashioned barium sulfate.
X-ray milk.
It will
Okay.
count the what?
X-ray.
X-ray milk.
X-ray, yeah, X-ray milk, essentially. More like milk of magnesia. You ever had milk of magnesia? That's what it kind of tastes like. It's like an antacid, you know, if you have acid reflux.
Oh, yeah.
So it's positive or radiopaque. It is very chalky, a chalk-like substance. We use it because it absorbs more X-rays in comparison to other contrast mediums. And of course, there's the chemical name for our chemistry majors out there, barium SO4, barium sulfate. And we used to have to hand mix this. Now they come in those nice little pink containers that are already mixed for you, just shake them up. We used to actually have to measure it out and mix it in a cup. It came in that powder form like that.
Yeah.
So
So
I
you
thought
just
the-
put the water in the container.
What did it
Yeah.
Shake it up.
Is that?
So you would do different consistencies. You could make it thin, thick,
Oh.
all kinds of different consistencies depending on what the doctor asked for.
Mhm.
Now they kind of use that universal pink cylindrical one that you guys use, and you just shake it
Pink
up.
and green.
Yeah.
Pink and green.
Just
It
put it
was
over
green
there.
now?
Pink
Yeah,
and
What was
green.
I
There's
used
pink and
what was I
there's
used for?
green.
So
Pink.
one is like
Green
Pink is the thin and the
It's the
green is a
single.
thick.
yeah.
Okay.
Variant.
Pink is the
And then
single
other
and
one
the
is
green
the
is
double.
double.
Yeah.
Yeah. thick.
Okay. I did not know. I did not know that.
One take like a dry
The more you
one,
know.
and one take more.
Whenever I was at TCH, the pink ones were thick and the blue ones were thin.
It's a different for
Interesting.
kids. It's like
Oh.
No, they're the same ones they use on
Green is
adults.
thick and pink is thin.
We just mix chocolate syrup in ours
You see, don't you
I
just say
know.
barium sulfate is the most common.
for digestive tract fluoro exams. Mhm.
Mr. Doctor?
Yeah.
That same resident that was asking
I
me questions
did.
that day, he gave the patient thick, thinking it was thin, and like gave it to them for the whole thing, the whole exam. And what's her name? Smith? Gracie comes in and goes, "Oh, are you done with this one?" He goes, "Yeah, I didn't actually use it." She like her face, eyes wide, like, what do you mean?" And she goes, "This is thick. You like, yeah, OBB." Yeah. She got super upset with it and was like, "Why didn't you say anything?" I'm like, "That's not my job. Like, I don't know what
Yeah.
I'm doing."
Yeah,
Can you
for
go
some
back?
reason I thought you were about to tell me she walked in and drank it because it wasn't used.
Oh Lord.
Why would I say that?
That's fine.
I don't know. It's just the first thing that popped in my head. You're gonna say Gracie drank the barium that wasn't used or something.
Hey man, she was thirsty.
You know, barium. It's not the most horrible tasting
Okay.
thing. I've tried all these contrasts because I like to appreciate what my patients drink. The barium's the least bad. The Omnipakes and all those, Cystoconrays, that stuff tastes like bitter syrup.
Well, I don't like
Gross.
when they drink the berry and they always
Oh
have
my
like
God,
white
no,
stuff
you
all
didn't.
around their mouth. I'm like, here,
Like a little milk mustache.
can you wipe your mouth?
Barium mustache. Okay, so these count as what we call colloidal suspensions. Gold star, guys. You know that terminology. Colloidal suspensions. That's because they never technically dissolve in water, even though it's liquidy. They don't dissolve. The rate of the separation will vary by brand. We typically use the same brand throughout the whole medical district. It's what's the brand? What's the brand? It's escaping me. And those pre-mixed ones you're using?
Easy pick.
Easy Pake, thank you.
Gotcha.
Easy Pake, that's the gold standard right there. Contraindications, big star, guys. Registry question 101 right there. So I got in bright red for you. The biggest contraindication for barium sulfate is a perforated viscous, which means what?
A hole in the large intestine, in the colon.
And no one said the actual definition is right here in front of you.
That's Johnson's job.
You were all correct, but basically it's a tear or a hole in the intestinal wall. Of course, if we drink barium, what's going to happen? It's going to leak into the abdominal cavity, cause a lot of pain and infection and or toxicity and death.
And nephrosis.
So if we know there's a perforation, we will not use barium sulfate. What will we use, ladies and gentlemen?
Gastrograph
We use gastrographin, which is a water-soluble contrast.
Oh, dang, man.
Yes, really.
And it can be ionic or non-ionic.
In debt.
And death.
Well, I've never.
You gotta say it like that,
Where
and
do they
death.
use gastrography?
Am I right?
Okay, the other contraindication besides a perforation, guys, would be a pre-surgical procedure. Why do you think a pre-surgical procedure would be a contraindication?
I would think like if maybe there was a tear before and they fixed that tear, if it's maybe pre that surgery early, I guess, like it hasn't been a while after the surgery, it might open again.
Very good. So there's the risk of reopening a previously healed perforation and or just cutting the contents accidentally and it's spilling into the abdomen, causing more infection. Just not worth the risk. So if they're due for a surgery, typically we're not going to do anything barium related until after that surgery has occurred. Okay, like I said, we used to actually have to mix these. They do expect you to still know this because some facilities still hand mix their barium if they're very cheap and don't want to order the Easy Bake, which some facilities do. Thankfully, Harris Health does not do that.
Not yet.
If we're going to mix thick barium, yeah, I know that inflation now. We might be, all that inflation, we might be getting some powdered barium
Yeah,
pretty
that's
soon.
crazy.
That's good.
For thick barium, it's a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 ratio of barium sulfate to water. 3-to-1 or 4-to-1. That's for your thick barium. For the thin, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. That thin, watery barium. There's no in between. Is there a thick or thin?
What about the ones where they mix a little bit of the thick into the thin? Or a little bit of the thin into the thick?
Aren't they the same thing?
That's really just gonna be by doctor request.
Okay.
And they just want something in between.
Aren't they, is it not the same thing and just different colored jar? Like, what's the difference?
Of what?
The green one and the
One's thick, one's thin.
Concentration.
Yeah, I know, but before you mix the water in there,
It's concentration.
it's
They tell you
just
the amount
powder. They're
of
both
water,
just
that's pretty
powder.
much how you know.
It's the consistency of the powder.
Yeah.
Of the powder?
Yeah, that
Because I
amount of
seen
water to the
Gracie
powder.
made thick with thin one time. She had to like rig it up a little
She
bit.
rigged it.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
Saving money.
So, what is the purpose of thick versus thin, by the way?
Supposedly.
Why do we have a thick versus thin? What's the purpose of that? Why would you want thin barium?
To go down faster?
To go faster. Thick, it's gonna go slower and be chunkier. Swallow those chunks of barium. All right, there's that water-soluble iodinated contrast. Why do we use this? Perforated viscous, once again, the number one reason, but also those pre-surgical procedures. There are contraindications for water-soluble iodinated contrast. What is it? Well, it's actually in the name. If we have a hypersensitivity or allergy to iodine, we will not use these. There is another alternative, water-soluble, that we can use, but very rarely are people sensitive to iodine. That's a super rare condition, but it does happen. Good old Gastroview, y'all use that? You never use Gastroview? I used to use this all the time.
We probably do.
What is that? It says megumin?
Diotrizoate meglumine
Wait, what?
and
I saw this
diatrozoate
bottle,
sodium solution.
With Miss Dahlia, but they don't.
Not for parenteral use. Please don't inject that in
I think I
veins.
saw this bottle in
It's gonna be a bad time.
basket.
They have tablets.
Oh, it was a tablet.
Yeah,
Okay, single contrast versus double contrast. Going back to patient care, y'all remember what that's about? Single contrast is just plain barium being ingested,
Yeah.
very solid appearance.
That's very-
Where double contrast is going to be ingesting the barium with the carbon dioxide gas, which we introduced that via the what?
The crystals.
The little crystals, little fizzy crystals. We
Easy
tell them not to
gas.
burp. That's going to give you that double contrast appearance like you see in that picture on the right. Also, if your facility, this is, I don't know if you've probably never seen this before. If your facility is very cheap and they don't have the crystals, you can have the patient swallow carbon dioxide. Try to breathe in and swallow air, which is very uncomfortable. It's as uncomfortable as it sounds. Basically try to make them introduce air to burp.
Sometimes they feel like
Yeah.
they may throw up.
Miss Christie don't like
Yeah.
to give.
If you ever swallowed air, it's very uncomfortable. Has anyone ever done that
Miss Christie
before?
don't like to give more
Like
than
I,
a pack of.
yeah, like that. I am very bad at taking pills. Like I have a very bad gag reflex. So sometimes when I try to take a pill, I'll swallow air with it because I'm like gagging on the pill. And it hurts. But when you swallow an air bubble, it hurts.
How do you swallow an air bubble?
Go like this.
You swallow the air. Like when you're breathing in, you swallow it. So you can make yourself burp, as Jay so elegantly demonstrated a few
Hey
seconds
man,
ago.
I used to be burp contest of the year every year. What?
It hurts. I feel like it's like stretching like tonight.
That used to be a family event.
Okay, so the double contrast is going to be our best way of demonstrating the mucosal folds of the stomach. We will not see the rugae or mucosal folds if we do single contrast. It will not be possible to see those. It must be double contrast to see inside the stomach. Well, that's a great question.
What was that?
I'm almost saying
Mucosal
Double
folds.
contrast.
Oh, they're
to see
talking about
mucosal
something
folds.
else.
No, we were talking about the gas.
Hmm?
We were talking about the gas.
Oh, you've got gas. Please go outside.
Oh my god. So I said that.
Look at this, see the mucosal folds.
The mucosal folds or the rugae. They're also called the rugae.
I was saying that whenever, what's it called?
She's going outside.
Mr. Donahue, I was saying that whenever Miss Gracie gives, she only likes to give pack of crystals for patients. And if the doctor asks for more crystals, she tells him no.
She just tells them no?
No, she says, baby, no, you swallow air. She said,
Why? Well,
'Cause she
actually, I
says
know
that
why.
you
The
can't
supplies
afford
are
it.
the supplies are low.
They got
Yeah,
that's
boxes
what
on
she
boxes.
makes
The yeah, but probably a little less than a year ago, the supplies got extraordinarily low for all of the medical equipment, things like floor supplies. Like we had a barium shortage. There was all kinds of stuff going on. So
Oh, yeah.
people like her are probably hoarding a lot of it in case that happens. You know, that doesn't surprise me.
Probably takes us so long.
Take it home. What would you want to take it home for?
And they have a shelf life, right?
Okay, let's look at some studies now.
No, could they actually give Alka-Seltzer? Because I mean, that's what kind of like the bubble stuff is, right?
Yes and no.
I feel like because they're crushed up,
Uh huh.
like,
Easier.
faster release.
Okay, have we all seen these?
Yeah.
Modified barium swallows. What do we do these for? To check the integrity of the epiglottis, to make sure it is closing properly when we swallow. Now, this is a video fluoroscopic procedure that must be performed in conjunction with who? Speech therapy. You will never do this alone. The doctor will never do this alone. This will always be with the speech therapist. What are the names of this study? Swallow dysfunction study, or video fluoroscopic swallow study, VFSS. Do you see the epiglottis working on this video?
Yeah.
Watch. You have to watch very closely. It closes right here. See it? Watch it.
Can you show? Oh, is that? Sorry.
By the way. The frame rate's not too good on that, but there's the epiglottis. It closes down over the trachea. Trachea's in the front or the back?
Front.
The front, to keep the contents from going anterior.
And then
I feel like you asked that question a million times.
You know why I keep asking it over and over again?
You know
I'm
it.
surprised how many people forget that.
Oh.
That's a registry question.
I don't
Is the trachea anterior to the esophagus? Vice versa.
I mean, it is
You know how to do a trach if you don't have like a knife or anything nearby? Like if, let's say someone fell on the floor right here. Let's say Angelica fell on the floor, gurgling, she couldn't
Stab
breathe.
a pen.
Stab it with a pin.
go ahead, let me die.
Stab it with a pin.
Yeah, you don't want us to do that.
Yeah, that's what I was
You
like. Go
stab
ahead,
in,
let me
but
die.
You would stab the throat with a pin, create a hole,
Don't break my
pull the
leg.
ink out, and create a tube with the pin.
And then you
What do you breathe out of?
And what blow on
If you don't want to
Save somebody's life doing that.
Hey, you guys.
And blow on
Mr. Donahue.
If you don't want to know.
Milk and that's not gonna help. If there's something lodged in there and they can't breathe,
Oh.
milk's not gonna help.
So what do you do after you put
I have
the
a
pen?
question.
You blow on it.
It'll come out.
Well, the
No,
ear's
it's gonna
supposed
release
to.
the air. They're gonna be able to breathe through it.
Oh.
I thought you were.
Yep. No, you don't blow in it.
It's not a
You're gonna get some good old tracheal juice in your mouth if you do that.
Ew.
This is Don, I have a question.
Yeah.
If a patient is like airborne, like you're doing a patient who's airborne, you're putting it at like TB, you're putting it at 95, and they start coding, would you do CPR and mouth to mouth?
No.
Hell no.
You can.
Well,
You can.
thankfully,
Go ahead.
if they're in a hospital, there's gonna be supplies to not. They're gonna have a
Nurse?
bed.
You're back. If there isn't, would you
There
do?
was this machine. I don't know
It's
if
gonna
you
save someone's life, sure. TB's not gonna kill me. I don't want it, but it's not gonna kill me.
Yeah, it's like that machine.
Okay. Deglutition. This relies upon the principle of deglutition.
Chewing.
Let's refocus everybody. Deglutition, that fun word we threw a couple days ago.
Oh, yeah.
Active swallowing performed by rapid and coordinated action of many muscles. Imaging and recording must be occurring at 30 frames per second. If I have my tech nerds out there, that's 30 FPS for your video recording of swallow function studies.
I think you need one.
It may be performed with a stationary fluoro machine or with a mobile C-arm. I've never seen it done with a C-arm, but I guess if your facility is very cheap and they don't have a fluoro device, they can use a C-arm. The C-arm is fluoro, same thing. You got some cheap hospitals out there. Not around here, but other places. Just go to Louisiana for a little while. You see what I mean? They do use a specialized patient chair that is safe and comfortable, but also mostly radiolucent, so it doesn't show up on the x-ray. Barium sulfate is going to be the standard contrast agents. Of course, y'all know how they do it. They're going to swallow liquid, they're going to do solids, different consistencies to make sure that epiglottis is functioning properly.
Yesterday, someone died, but prior to that, they were doing CPR on them. But it was the machine who was doing it on its
Oh, it was
own.
like it was doing the compressions.
Yeah, I never seen that before, and it looked so like.
Violent?
Because it doesn't get tired.
Yeah.
It doesn't get tired like a human. could keep going.
His chest was inflated like this big.
Because they break those ribs. It's not a game.
Yeah, if you're not breaking ribs, you're not doing proper CPR. All right, who are your team members, guys? Of course, we just said this. Speech therapists, rad tech, and radiologists. 3 main members for your swallow function studies. Yeah.
You see, like once they swallow, what is that? Like, is that just the barium getting stuck or something?
That's just a residual
No,
barium.
in the right here.
Under
like-
the jaw.
Yeah, under the jaw.
Here?
Yeah, look.
This one?
Right there. You see
That's
those
still
2
in the
dots?
mouth. It's like under the tongue.
So it's just like fluid.
I used to love when I was assigned to this room when I worked TCH because I knew I would just be kind of sitting there chilling all day.
Like
All
Miss
speech
Gracie.
therapy and the
Yeah, they just did
radiologist
all
does
the work.
everything. Like, oh, room set up. Go ahead, do your thing.
Like Miss Gracie.
The kids actually like follow directions or no?
No.
Show us
So,
Make 'em
great
her
question
eyes
for
soft.
kids. Most of the time, yeah, you can get kids to swallow because they'll use like goldfish and little snacks they like. They'll do the swallow function, so it's pretty good. But for babies, you can't tell a baby to swallow. Trick with babies, you're going to take a syringe, you're going to inject it in the back of the throat. It's going to trigger the swallowing response, and they'll start swallowing. You got to get way back in there though.
So you go like buccally and then
Buccal and way back into the back of the throat.
So I'd imagine you just went straight.
They
up
fight
there.
on that, huh?
They don't choke.
All the way to the
It works like a bottle.
But if you go
Triggers the swallowing reflex.
Would you
going
like
back,
Don't choke. I haven't choked any yet. At least. I inject a lot of syringes in babies' mouths. Okay.
This is team member for what procedure?
Swallow function study.
Swallowing function.
Okay, pharynx and larynx procedures. Esophagograms. The most common procedure done during an esophagram. If we're going to do plain films and or just position for the radiologist to use, will be the RAO. There's a reason for this. Does anybody know why the RAO is the preferred way to do an esophagram? Anybody want to guess? Well, we got real quiet.
Is it due to the stomach?
Move it out the
I
way.
have a picture. No, I don't.
Can you go back closer?
Is it where his stomach is situated?
You're on the right track. He said to move the spine out of the way.
Oh.
Yes, we want to isolate the esophagus away from the spine. We want to put it in the lung space away from the heart as well. We want to be able to see it very clear without
Like the
superposition.
Yeah,
So REO is the optimized position, whether we're doing plain films or fluoro, to do an esophagram. Also, it usually is most commonly done because we can turn the head to the left. They can drink comfortably. You can watch that barium go down the throat with ease. Oh, it's kind of hard to swallow when you're in that position. Swallow a drink. You ever tried that?
Yeah.
It's kind of awkward.
Oh, I know.
Whenever they were doing that, the patients didn't understand what was swallowing. Like they just didn't get it.
They didn't know English, or they just
No.
didn't know what
they knew
swallow
English,
meant, period.
But it's just like they would ask, like, do I keep going? We already told you once, keep going.
I always say, I always say, drink and take big gulps, big gulps, big gulps. Keep swallowing, big gulp, big gulp, big gulp. That's what I used to tell the kids.
Yeah.
That's a little.
Okay, what are our clinical indications for esophagams? We actually have quite a few. That's going to be things like our anatomic abnormalities, so a deformed esophagus, which does exist. We got esophageal reflux. That's a big one. I have esophageal reflux all the time. I get reflux really bad.
What does that mean?
It's like heartburn,
Oh.
where you have stomach acid come up your throat a lot, burns your throat.
I got it from the alcohol.
I don't have it as bad as I used to because I take medicine for it, but
Is that
Oh.
true?
what?
You can get cancer?
from reflux?
Yeah.
No.
From
That's
the
what
stomach
Gracie
acid?
told me. She said to go
Ulcer?
to the doctor.
You can get an ulcer?
Oh no,
You
you
can
can get
cancer.
ulcers.
She said
You
you
don't
can
get
get
cancer from
Yeah, she
reflux.
scared me. I was like, oh.
You can get esophageal cancer, but it's not from reflux.
You're like, no, baby. No.
Yeah, you get some esophageal reflux, like chewing tobacco, things like that. That's gonna give you esophageal cancer.
What about smoking, like cigarettes?
Smoking as well.
Don't do it.
Esophageal varices. That's gonna be enlarged veins. There are veins around the esophagus that can become inflamed and enlarged and deform the esophagus. This is a carcinoma, by the way. Foreign body obstruction, that's a big one. Things like fish bones, all kinds of stuff can get stuck in the throat. They'll do an esophagram sometimes if they can't get that foreign body out and need to find out where it's at. And an impaired swallowing mechanism, what do y'all think that's referring to? What would be an impaired swallowing mechanism? Epiglottis paralysis or just esophagus paralysis in any portion where it's not doing a peristalsis.
What about epiglottitis? Would that be-
Epiglottitis, like a swollen epiglottis?
Yeah, would that be foreign body obstruction or not foreign body?
It wouldn't be foreign body, but that would be part of the impaired swallowing mechanism because it's not going to work as it should. And then carcinoma of the esophagus. This is severe cancer of the esophagus. You can imagine how painful it would be to swallow something if your esophagus is all jaggedy like that. But also, think of how much food and contents can get stuck in all the little crevices there.
But they're
It
good.
can cause a lot of issues.
Just drink some water in the douche.
Just wash it out with some water, huh?
You know, one time I saw this thing where there were some lungs, there were some healthy lungs, and then there were some black lungs because they would smoke. And someone said, "Yeah, see, this is why you shouldn't smoke." But in the comments, it said, "Well, who cares?" They said, "Well, who cares? They're both dead. You don't either way."
Exactly.
It said in the comments, who cares?
Yeah, because the
They
both the
said-
people are dead.
Yeah, they're
Doesn't
either
matter.
dead. Either way, they're dead.
Healthy
Healthy or damaged lungs. They're
Miss
still
Dante,
dead.
you ever
Everybody
like look through the
dies.
comments on something, or you just like,
I have. I haven't seen anything like that.
Yeah, I was like, I thought it was funny.
Okay, that's some dark humor, but okay.
he's like, that's like
Okay, this is what's called Barrett's esophagus. What is Barrett's esophagus? Basically, a heavily swollen esophagus. Esophagus should be at least more than half this size. This is heavily swollen, so it'd be very painful to swallow with Barrett's esophagus. That's going to be caused by excessive reflux. Now, to answer your question again of what Gracie was talking about, no, you can't get cancer from reflux, but you can get Barrett's esophagus if it becomes damaged by the excessive acid breaking down the walls of the esophagus. The esophagus will get inflamed as the acid's hitting it and try to heal itself and swell up to a large size like that. That's what we call Barrett's esophagus. Very uncomfortable.
How do you fix stuff like that? You just get a feeding tube or anything?
If it becomes so severe, they might have to put a feeding tube, but hopefully they're going to get on some acid reflux meds and get that fixed.
Can it heal itself or once it damages?
It can heal itself. Yeah, it can heal. Because my esophagus got really messed up. My reflux was bad. Now it's doing
Did it get
good.
swollen like that?
I don't know if it ever got that swollen, but it got pretty bad. Huh?
Did you get off the counter?
Not off the counter.
Omeprazole.
Oh.
I use omeprazole.
What's
I didn't-
omeprazole?
That's over-the-counter acid reflux medicine.
My sister-in-law's baby daddy said that
Carla,
that-
get it.
So I think he did some time in jail, and he said that in jail they taught him that when he had heartburn, they gave him a spoon of mustard,
Get it.
and it would
Get
go
it.
away.
Mustard.
Yeah, it works.
It
If you
works?
have acid reflux, just take a big spoonful of mustard.
That
It
really
works?
works?
Yeah, I do it all
So
the time.
you like counteract
What's
acid with
what's the
more
science
acid.
behind that?
I don't know. My
No, I
mom
don't know
told
what
me
it, he,
before.
when I was pregnant, he would tell me, just eat some mustard, and I don't like mustard, so I was like, so I would just eat
They took it away,
soothes
though?
it or something.
Maybe I'll stick with my omeprazole. That works
I
pretty
mean,
good.
I feel like
He
it's
likes
more
the
natural.
buzz more.
yeah, I mean,
I'll stick with my pills. Yeah.
What do I do with heartburn?
What did I gotta do with
Yeah.
heartburn?
That's for the shoe.
All right, guys. Esophageal varices. Another important pathology. Important pathology. That's when those veins around the esophagus swell up and enlarge. So scarring or cirrhosis of the liver.